Hello, and welcome to Bomb Squad Movie Night Overtime, the very first iteration of this fun little thing. So, in case you didn't notice, there were a bunch of people on that there Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse episode, and typically we have a nice little feature called General Discussion, or at least typically like Tanner does. My episodes don't, because I'm a freak and I like structure.
Super freaky!
Much to my disadvantage. Exactly. Just sort of a general discussion of the film and what we liked about it. But yeah, no, talking about just stuff in general we liked about Spider-Verse. I'm going to go into something that I appreciated about it in greater detail, which is Spider-Man 67. He filled up the entire IMAX screen. I saw Spider-Man 67 bigger than he was ever intended to be viewed. And that is a joyous occurrence for me. He swung directly into the screen. It was like he was kicking into me. And I adore that Bakshi show, as is mentioned. Like the backgrounds on it are so pretty, and I like seeing him. I know he's just a big meme at this point. It's all Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. It's all him being a tremendous asshole to people. But I love that those Bakshi seasons especially, they aren't animated as well, but the production design is vastly improved. So yes, of course, my first comments are going to be completely disconnected from the actual thing we're discussing. I'm talking about Bakshi, baby.
Well, I gotta emphasize this. I saw this movie with Ethan when him and I saw it the first time. He, for one, very graciously paid for my ticket. Thank you for that, Ethan. And we saw it together. Mm-hmm. Me, him, and a friend of Ethan's. I didn't know what you were comfortable with saying. Sorry. Ethan's partner.
All good.
Ethan saying that Bakshi Spider-Man almost kicked him. It was like he was kicking him. Ethan just about fucking kicked me when he was reacting to it. I have never seen Ethan display this much emotion. I didn't realize he was capable of displaying this much emotion. All right? I love you, Ethan. You're not a super emotive person. So to see something get you that emotive was really cool. It's how, like, I imagine how me and other people would, like, leap out of our seats when, like, fucking On Your Left happened in Endgame. You seeing Bakshi Spider-Man was like you're fucking on your left, okay? You went nutso, and I love that. That's all. I just want to emphasize that. I didn't get to talk about that much. You just went insane, and I loved it.
On your left, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man does whatever. Radioactive spider blood. So,
on the similar topic of people getting excited, for starters, if you guys have not clued in, the spoilers, but I want to talk about moments that got people very fucking excited. And one of the joys of being, like, working in a movie theater, where part of my job is I have to be in the movie theater. So Donald fucking Glover shows up in this, in live action, which is one of the best fucking cameos just ever, like not even of the year, just ever, because it's brief, it's simple, you get it, and it's very cool to see.
It's rude to stare.
And getting to watch this with all my fellow coworkers, hearing all their reactions was fun because we all reacted the same way. But getting to, like, run food and drink and stuff through the theater when that specific scene is happening, seeing the fucking crowd, that is arguably some of the best, like, shifts I've ever worked, is working on Spider-Verse, even if it's busy and I'm tired as all hell, getting people, like, seeing them react to that is genuinely one of the most glorious things I've ever had happen at any job ever. I love watching people react to that.
Yeah, when me and
the Spider-Man meme.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say when me and my girlfriend were driving home after the movie, she was talking about the Donald Glover bit, and she was like, "I had heard that Donald Glover was in it, and I just thought, oh, he's gonna do a voice in the movie. You get the voice and the face, baby."
Laurel, what were you trying to say?
I was just saying, because I saw it opening night, and so, like, the Spider-Man meme of like them all pointing at each other, the theater got so loud, like you couldn't even hear the movie because everyone just started screaming in my theater.
That scene is like one of those ones you see it in the trailer and you go, oh yeah, duh, obvious, but also you see it in the trailer and you go, oh, I almost wish they didn't show that in the trailer. That would have been really fun to see organically. Except, to me, it's even funnier in the movie because the funniest bit there isn't them all pointing to each other. It's Miguel being like, he's entering the sector! And then this random guy with the arms comes in, and he's like, what are you guys looking at me for? And he's like, no, behind him! Turn around! Turn around! And then Miles is just like crawled up on this guy's back like, hey, guys.
Such an
I know, I love it.
I saw someone refer to like that scene specifically as like the best web slinging like Spider-Man action scene that's ever been put to screen, and I just wanted to throw that out there to see if you guys had any opinions.
I love
on
that because you can say
I like the subway fight in Spider-Man 2 more, but I understand. But like I don't know, I think I definitely understand the argument, especially from a technical aspect. If I were to rewatch it, I could definitely see. I don't know. But that's my gut reaction to that question.
All right, I was gonna say like what I like about that particular comment about how it could be the best web singing scene, except for Spider-Man 2. I get Spider-Man 2 because there's like such an emotional connection there. Like it's it's not as choreography based, but
gravitas,
like the strain. Yeah, the gravitas and the strain of these powers a bit better. I would say. I think that's completely fair. But like in terms of like web slinging choreography and action, like literally any major action set piece in this film you could say is like the best. Into the Spider-Verse was no slouch on this front, but holy shit, this movie just tops it in like every
I agree. I like every action scene in this could be like that, but specifically the spider chase. You were saying about how just the pure strain to the powers. I think it's worth mentioning that the spider chase action set piece also has basically a reference to the train scene in a way of that guy desperately trying to hold the bridge together in like basically the same pose that Toby Spider-Man is in when he's trying to stop the train. And then Miles walks across and it's like, it's fine. And then all the spider people get on him and he's like, ah! I can't do this. It's so good.
Bit.
Fuck.
Doubling back to audience reactions, me and Tanner's screening, Tanner thought this was hilarious.
I maintain that it's funny.
I felt for this person. I thought it was sweet, but a little funny. In that there was somebody who started applauding when Garfield Spider-Man, the scene with him showed up.
It happened in my theater. Somebody like did a couple of sad claps, and no one joined in.
Like Andrew,
did your person have better luck?
No.
Good.
Okay.
I think they were just happy. I don't know if they were trying to start a round of applause. I think that was a personal connection that individual had.
And I don't think anyone's ever really trying to start applause when that happens. It just kind of happens. I think what stood out to me about that happening, Ethan, is that is the first time I've seen someone just kind of clap out of reaction and it didn't generate applause in the theater. like the vibe was just like Andrew Garfield's crying his eyes out, which is weird because me personally, I get happy when Dennis Leary dies.
I mean, he is an asshole.
Just me personally.
Oh, he's an asshole. Thank you, Tim, for getting the reference.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary's a weird guy that's like, you can cure autism, so I don't really like him.
That makes sense.
Fair.
Oh.
One of the scenes that really primed my audience, and I forgot this was in the trailers, but was the introduction of Spot, the ATM scene, as well as the following fight. Jason Schwartzman's voice, as well as the sort of mechanics of everything going in and out of the holes. That was when my theater, like, fully signed the fuck up for the movie. That really started it. A lot of the jokes landed harder after that. A lot of funny scenes in the movie.
How have we not brought up the Lego scene at all yet?
Oh, yeah!
The Lego scene!
Animated by a child! Animated by a child! I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm just going to jump off a bridge.
I also think the kid is Cameroonian, although that might have been a different headline I was reading. But
it somehow didn't click with me until after getting back from the movie. Like, this is written by Lord Miller, who also wrote the Lego movie. It's all connected. It's like poetry. They
The
rock.
multiverse.
And the madness there is too that this is a 14-year-old who, like, stop motion animation is incredibly impressive in its own right, of course. But this is a 14-year-old child that taught themselves Blender.
What?
The Lego animation was done in Blender.
Yeah, that was done in Blender, guys. We a tool that we could hypothetically use. I think Blender's free, right?
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
It is.
Yep.
What? Oh my!
What the hell?
I didn't know that.
Oh
oh my god.
I've been contemplating trying to learn Blender, but I always hear, like, I've heard Austin, who's, a technical whiz, especially compared to me.
Listen, the 3D
Blender,
learning
so,
curve
like,
is
geez.
hard
Well-
in general for me. For a lot of people, it comes easier. You should definitely try to learn Blender. Cycles is great. Eevee is great. Give it a go. You might be better at it than me.
By all accounts,
Point is, a high school.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a high schooler. 14-year-olds. I was 14 in the 8th grade.
Oh, middle schooler. Damn, yeah, I was too. Okay, middle schooler.
And we love the constant
my
that
geez.
J. Jonah Jameson is voiced by that fucking actor.
J.K.
J.K.
Simmons.
Simmons.
You know,
I
what
will
I
s-
specifically loved about his audio in the Lego scene is that, one, it was just archive audio from, like, the first Spider-Man movie, but two, it sounded like shitty compression on the audio from the first Spider-Man movie. Because, like, Ethan pointed this out to me. It doesn't look like the Lego movie does. It looks rougher. It looks more reminiscent of what, like, a kid would do stop motion with and then upload to YouTube. There's this more roughness to it that I really love. And,
yeah, it's got, like, the digital grain from, like, the lighting, like, the poor lighting of whatever child set is being used here on their, like, DC, like, whatever
Yeah.
DCP digital camera they're using, because they don't have a real proper, like, camcorder or phone camera. It captures that energy.
And
so
I also love how it's something I didn't even notice the first time, but I noticed it the second time. Miguel O'Hara tells the Lego Peter Parker, "You're one of our best," and I don't know why. That's just so fucking funny to me. You're one of our best.
that it's Miguel.
Miguel, the guy who's shown to like have contempt for everybody, he tells the Lego one, "You're one of our best."
It's true. We all know it.
Yeah.
I did at the start of the film. I don't know if this was intentional. This might be me. Like, this might be a bit of a reach. But I do like that Miguel's theme kind of the like sort of synthetic wail kind of echoes the Prowler's signature audio cue. And like his power set, like the way he moves so savagely and with the claws, definitely kind of echoes the Prowler in a way. I like that. Like it's a great film at like drawing parallels. Like I didn't even notice, and I mean it's blindingly obvious if you'd watched the first film recently, but that Miles at the end tied up to the punching bag is the same situation Peter B. Parker ended up in the first film. Just so much like that. Okay.
There is this really cool thing that I saw pointed out on some social media where in the first film, when they're at Alchemex and Miles is watching Peter fight Green Goblin and like Peter like senses he's falling and goes to save him.
Color!
And they have that moment where like their spidey senses go off.
It was
The colors behind them, so like Peter's is red and blue and then Miles is green and purple, and as they're sensing it, Miles is green and purple like morph into red and blue, almost like showing like, oh, this is like the canon changing and this is the anomaly happening. And I someone pointed it out because I watched the first film like right before the second, and someone pointed it out, and so like just going back and watching Into the Spider-Verse, knowing kind of as things are happening, they're affecting the multiverse and like the Spider people like right as they're happening. It's just so interesting.
Joe, you've been trying to say something for a few
with how
minutes.
that all connects.
I actually now have two things, but I'm gonna go to the one that's a little bit more on topic, that as opposed to reversing back to a completely different topic we were talking about. But speaking of specific colors, I am going to jump very far ahead into the movie, and I'm going to talk about something that I picked up on like my second watch of this. And it's like something genuinely fucking beautiful that makes me excited to fucking see this movie for a third and possibly fourth time. But like little fucking details that kind of hint at like Miles not being in the correct universe. Something I did not notice. compare Miles in his actual like timeline, universe, whatnot. What color hoodie does he usually wear? It is usually red. What color does Prowler Miles Morales? What's his hoodie color?
It's a purple, right? Yeah.
It's fucking purple. Just small little details that just say so fucking much. And you just don't even fucking realize it until you see it again.
Well, it's not. Go ahead.
What's up?
I was just gonna say, it's not just his jacket. If you look the color palette of the whole Wrong universe he's in at the end, it has this entire green and purple hue to it that's totally different from his first one.
Oh god, yeah.
And his mom's eyes are like a vivid green, like in 42. So as soon as you see her, it's like whoa, because like it's startling. Because
I noticed she looked off. I didn't realize her eye color was different though.
This movie's the greatest fucking movie ever made. You know what? Fuck it. I am going to declare it right now. This is my favorite movie of the year. Fuck it. Sorry, Guardians. Sorry, Guardians. Sorry, Gun.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, the fucking animated Spider-Man movie that I didn't see the first one in theaters because of James Gunn. The second movie in the franchise tops a James Gunn movie.
Just to make sure, is this all of our favorite movie of the year so far?
Yeah.
It's up there.
I kind of had an interesting jump because my favorite movie of the year up until now was Beau is Afraid. You could immediately detect why this would top that, but also, like, as a social anxiety situation, which was what I loved about Beau is Afraid. These situations, these weird nightmare situations, would be really hard for you to deal with if they were happening to you. But this movie has a big social anxiety situation that's just fucking hilarious. There's a big party, everyone like you is invited, and then when you sneak into the party with your crush, you find out the guy throwing the party hates you, and everyone's on that dude's side, and the only dude on your side is the guy you thought was banging your crush earlier. Like, holy shit! I love that aspect.
You know, that actually ties into something I was thinking about recently, how everyone's on the guy who throws the party side. I just had this thought pop into my head. How much of the Spider Society actually knows what they're doing here? Because there's 1,000 of them. What if it's just like an inner circle that knows the exact details, like that whole spiel Miguel gave, and like Peter Parkar doesn't know? I don't know.
Peter Parkar is innocent.
I choose to believe that Spider-Cat is innocent.
There's a Spider-Man T-Rex, and it says T-Whip whenever he thwips. Just like that. Laurel, sorry, what were you trying to say? I thought you were trying to say something, and I interrupted you.
Just now? Oh, I was just gonna kind of echo, like, the idea of, like, when Miguel was like, okay, everyone get, like, Spider-Man. All of them, no hesitation. It was just on sight. Like, none of them stopped and were like, why are we about to chase this, like, 15-year-old kid around?
Well, have you seen a 15-year-old kid? If someone told me, hey, that 15-year-old beat him up, I'd be like, yeah, probably deserves it.
Let's get him!
Jump him!
God.
No.
Speaking of them all just kind of chasing after Miles, have you guys heard the poster theory for Across the Spider-Verse?
Oh, about how, like, the left side are the people against Miles, and the next one, and the right side are the people with Miles?
Yeah.
Oh.
How do we feel about that?
I like it, if only because it means Spectacular Spider-Man is on the right side of history.
Good.
Hell yeah.
Now where does
it's
PS1
interesting.
Spider-Man stand?
So I think he's in this, by the way. I think he's one of the guys running in that first shot. I remember in the trailer, there's this one like one polygon-ass looking Spider-Man that's running in like the same exact type of motion that the PS1 Neversoft game Spider-Man ran in. And I want to believe it's him, because we have Insomniac Spider-Man, and those like 8-bit pixels that you see next to Donald Glover are like from the Atari Spider-Man game.
I was gonna say we got we got fucking Atari Green Goblin in this. Let us have PS1 Spider-Man.
So does that?
And also, Video Man from Spider-Man and his amazing friends, famous for being watched by all of us except for Laurel at Tanner's birthday party.
Oh, you're right. Jesus.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Spider-Man Atari game, is the Spider-Man in the AVGN episode on the Atari Spider-Man game in the Spider Society? Or...
What the? My head.
Ethan sent me that photo earlier, so I've just been thinking about it.
I gotta ask, so there's like a little weird-shaped Spider-Man that comes up during that intervention. Does anyone remember who the fuck that is? He has a...
That's Spectacular Spider-Man!
Spectacular
He's got a
Spider-Man.
weird
He has a very distinct style. Oh, okay, Rein.
Sorry,
Rain's leaving the episode.
Bye, Rein!
Bye, Rein.
Spectacular Spider-Man has a very distinct art style that's mostly that's done by this comic artist whose name escapes me right now. He did a bunch of Teen Titans stuff. Ethan, do you remember his name?
Hall.
Rain's still in here. I'm gonna.
Hall.
You gotta boot Rein.
No,
we were supposed to be the good guys, Tanner. We are.
I do appreciate that Penny Parker has gone through the events in her universe that make her life much worse.
Yeah, she went through the
Spider
events
suit,
of
you can immediately
Evangelion.
see
You
it.
told me, right?
She went through the Shinjification.
Yeah, if it functionally. Yeah, exactly.
Go.
Spider Cat.
Spider Cat.
Ethan, we're on the same page.
But no, I like that. Yes, I do like Penny Parker. They seem to have gotten a handle. Like, that was maybe the one quibble I had with the original film, was that I think they were struggling a bit with getting, like, the anime kind of look down for her. And we see her a lot more briefly in this film, too. But I think they got, like, the shaders a bit more correct on her. I'm excited to see more of her in Beyond. I'm really excited. I think they did a good job of building up, like, how this could be a culmination of the two films by having, some of the spider folks you met in this film, but also the original gang back together. And I feel like sort of satisfactorily getting a lot of Gwen's arc out of, not out of the way, resolved in a really satisfying and cool way. Gives a bit more room for them to show up, because they show up pretty late into the first film. Ultimately, they're really only there for like the last 50 minutes, just
Which is
about.
crazy, because I feel like I just remember their impact on the movie being so much greater than they are, but like they're not in it that much.
No, not at all. But it's it's exciting. I'm excited to see more of them. I like basically all of them. I think they're all fun characters and super distinct. More Nick Cage in my.
I remember when Nick Cage said, "I'm not going to be in Cross the Spider-Verse," and I went, "Man!" But it's clear they were just saving him for Beyond, and I appreciate that. I love my favorite part about Nick Cage's Spider-Man Noir is that because of a line in the first movie, everyone has been calling him the Spider-Man that likes to punch Nazis. Because if you remember when he introduces himself, he says, "I like to drink egg whites and I like to punch Nazis, and sometimes I let the match burn down to my fingertips." More Spider-Men that say, "I like punching Nazis, please."
Speaking of like that
Hell
sort
yeah.
of incendiary language you wouldn't expect in a children's movie produced by a big studio, when Spider-Punk gave his backstory, in addition to the whole sort of, what's the big hole? Oh, it's a metaphor for capitalism line. I
Love
was
that.
so stoked. I was like,
Well-
this movie's going to produce a cool generation of kids.
Or what about right before it when Indian Spider-Man's like, "This is where the British people stole our stuff."
Yes!
Love that.
On a less inflammatory note, but just in terms of what they're good at, they say ass and hell in this movie a fair amount. It's got the same it doesn't come out quite as much at you, but it's very much oh shit, what are we gonna do now? All of the Transformers movies.
When I watched this the first time, Ethan, I would have sworn on my life that Gwen said shit when she saw the Spot's apartment.
Yes!
Same, but
She says
but then
shoot.
they have a whole thing about
But
it
I-
where
yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, no, she says shoot subsequent times, but I would have sworn on my life the first one was shit.
I thought they kept...
Yeah.
I thought they kept
I-
saying
I
shoot
thought
a
it
bunch
was.
of times, and I think eventually spelled it, because maybe they knew. Maybe they knew how much it sounded like
Yeah.
the word.
I
Absolutely.
even wonder if that's something that S&P caught and was like, I don't know. I'm surprised that didn't get flagged as you need to change that line, or maybe they were like, hey, you need to put up a visual here.
I mean, you
because it
can
sounds way
get
too
away
much
with
you're saying
one or two
shit.
shits in a
Like,
PG.
you know how you're allowed to give
it's
away...
rare, but
You can actually... It's actually a bit of a misconception. You can only say fuck once in a PG-13 movie. You can technically say it more than once. It's usually more about the context it's used in. If fuck is used in a sexual context, then it's R.
Yeah, you can't say it in sexual context. You can't say motherfucker.
Yeah.
But also the MPAA are very inconsistent about their weird rules.
Correct,
so-
they are. But like, for example, The Martian technically has more than one F-bomb in it, and that's a PG-13 movie. In that same
think there's,
vein,
like-
you can say shit in a PG movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
I think there's like 5. I think there's like 5 F-bombs in the right stuff, and that's PG.
Yeah.
Sorry about me laughing. I'm laughing because we're talking about how inconsistent the MPAA is, and I just thought of a line that Spider-Punk said, how he doesn't like consistency.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like
There you go.
the MPAA,
don't like
the MPAA is the Spider-Punk of the film
Absolutely
industry.
fucking not.
Yeah, no, Spider-Punk would despise the MPA.
Yeah, Spider-Punk would despise the MPAA. That they are not the Spider-Punk of any world.
Speaking of Spider-Punk, I saw someone say that apparently, this is a very specific thing, and I can't remember all the details of it. But are you guys familiar with the thing here in America where if someone has a teardrop tattoo, it supposedly means they've killed someone?
Oh yeah, I saw the thing you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so apparently in the United Kingdom, there's a similar thing where if like you do your shoelaces a certain way, it means
if it's blue shoelaces.
Yeah, if you have like blue, it implies you killed a cop, and like someone
Wait a
connected that with like, what if in Spider-Punk's universe, the police captain was killed by
Killed
Hobie?
him, and that's why he's cool. Oh my god! But wait, in the first movie, when Miles walks into the preppy school, he's got his shoes that way, and the girl is like, "Your shoes are untied." And he says it's a conscious decision or something along those lines. What if Miles has killed a cop? Wait. Speaking of cops, the whole, like, Gwen Stacy, when her dad decides to arrest her for coming out as Spider-Woman, that was actually foreshadowed because earlier in the scene outside of the museum, Gwen Stacy's dad says, "I'm an Irish cop." And so when he pulled out that gun and tried to arrest his daughter, I was like, I knew it. Well, you know.
Oh yeah, fucking Irish fucker.
You know, that actually reminds me how in the opening scene, we talk about how great that opening scene is, and it is fantastic. But something that I noticed on my second time is when Gwen is pounding on those drums, and, you know, it keeps cutting to these random shots. The first time I saw it, it just looked like random shots or, like, maybe recap footage from the first movie. The second time I saw it, I realized it was footage of Gwen and Miles from later in the movie. Like, one of the shots in her pounding on that drum is that shot where it goes real close up on her and she's like, "We're supposed to be the good guys." Like, the whole movie is, like, sort of, like, foreshadowed right there. Very similar to how, like, The Spot does that one thing.
Let's see.
This is related, but like very like not as significant as what you just mentioned, Tanner. But it was when Miles was glitching when in the chase scene with Miguel, like when his wristband falls off and Miguel is telling him like, "You're the original anomaly," and he glitches. I think there's a shot in there when he's glitching of him wearing like the
Oh, that'd be cool.
from the first. I noticed it like on my third watch. I was like, "Oh my god, that's his like little outfit."
You know,
I
that's like
really
reminds me of
love
two
that
things.
detail.
One, I love the Spider-Man costume from the first movie because the Stan Lee cameo of him being this lovable grandpa and also just a total carny. Very accurate representation of just who Stan Lee was in general. But secondly, that scene where Miguel's like, "You're the original anomaly. You were never supposed to be Spider-Man." Fast forward to 2011. "You're not supposed to be Spider-Man. You're black. Peter Parker's supposed to be Spider-Man." It felt like a total callback to the reactions of Miles when he first came out. And how there were a lot of people that didn't like him being Spider-Man. Admittedly, including myself. But that was mostly because he just felt like a clone of Peter Parker and he didn't feel like he had a distinct personality until these movies came out.
Because they killed his uncle. They like improved on the story from the comics when he was introduced. From what
Yeah,
I've heard.
they made Miles in the comics when he first was introduced was essentially just a black Peter Parker without much nuance beyond that. I mean, literally, I want to emphasize this. The guy writing Miles was so fucking clueless about black culture that he named his father Jefferson Davis.
Confederate guy, Jefferson
Yeah.
Davis.
Yeah, the president of the Confederacy. Now, according to, I can't remember the author's name, but according to him, that's because when he was a kid, he had a friend whose dad was named Jefferson Davis. And that actually tracks because this particular writer loves naming characters after people in his life. But still, like, you'd think maybe an editor or fucking somebody would see Jefferson Davis, father of Black Spider-Man, and go, "Hey guys, what if we didn't? What if we not?"
That editor was too busy reading Captain America Civil War and not the actual American Civil War. They didn't know.
Yeah, basically.
It's the same editor. It's the same editor that allowed Crackoon to make it through the cracks.
I still can't believe that I was just scrolling through Twitter and I see Crackoon on a poster and I'm like, oh my god, who let that happen? But no, Miles in the comics was essentially just a Black Peter because the people writing him just had absolutely no experience with those cultures or just like how to make an interesting spider character outside of Peter. And that had a lot to do with why I wasn't super excited for the first Spider-Verse movie. I have, for the first 7 years of Miles' existence, I thought he was a boring character. And it wasn't until these movies that someone finally gave me a reason to really give a shit about him.
Now they've got this whole meta commentary about all the people who can't think he can be Spider-Man. Also, in the press junkets that Lord Miller and the directors give, they always dance around saying the word black. They're always like, yeah, it's for all the people back in the day that didn't think Miles could be Spider-Man because he was different. Like, they'll do anything except talk about that part in the interviews, which I thought was funny, because I feel like you could bring that up for points. Kind of like how you could bring the trans thing up for points, but they didn't, which is sort of interesting.
My whole thing with that is I feel like Gwen was about as explicitly trans as you can make a character without the character going, "I'm a trans woman, Miles."
Well,
that was just me.
It's an interesting technique. What if you just had all the obvious signals, but didn't identify it directly, so trans kids all across the world could actually see the movie? Like that, I just feel like they haven't done this before. It's really neat because it is pretty overt. Between the flags and the little badge on the police uniform and everything.
Her universe literally turns into the trans pride flag colors. I will also say those colors are also just prominent in Gwen's story from the comics. But it was very specifically the hues and the shades of it that, if it's all a coincidence, it's a really fucking big one. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I saw somebody talking about this.
It doesn't, I mean...
Spider-Man?
Go ahead, Laurel. It's fine. Whatever.
I was just gonna say that Whoa.
No.
I was just gonna say that, just to add on to that, like, it really doesn't feel like a coincidence, especially because, like, everything in animation is so deliberate, like, with the flags and the badge. Like, it's, to me, it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a coincidence at all. It feels pretty confirmed in my mind. But Ethan, you can go.
Yeah, no, I had nothing quite so substantive. I saw somebody talking about this online, and I thought it was interesting. That I want Leopardon. I want Leopardon and in Japanese Spider-Man, as he's so often referred to. Actual name Takuya Yamashiro, because he's a person. He's not just defined by his ethnicity. There are multiple Japanese Spider-Men, but I want him to crop up in the next one, and because apparently they'd reached the stage of making.
They announced he was going to be in the movie,
but that
before they split it.
Production when these were one, and I saw somebody mentioning this online. One of Takuya's most notable features is his large bracelet. That might resemble the ones they use to hop dimensions. And two, is he pretty flagrantly kind of flaunts the canon principle here. The man pilots a gigantic robot. Speaking of robots, solidarity with Miles, a fellow giant robot fan. I love looking at his toy shelf and all the robot toys. I want to get a closer look at them. Sort of famously, Leopardon, the robot from the 1978 Toku series, Miles has a drawing of him on his drawing board of that robot, which is a really cute reference. It's featured fairly prominently in several scenes.
Or go ahead, Ethan. Sorry. No. I thought you were
go ahead.
Oh,
I am done.
Go! Sorry.
There we go.
I was just thinking of talking about how they said the Japanese that Spider-Man was going to be in this one and how he wasn't, and I also agree that he's going to be in the next one. Speaking of Spider-Men that weren't in this one that I think is going to be in the next one, To me, in terms of animated spider canon, the most glaring omission that wasn't in this movie was the 1990s Spider-Man the Animated Series show. Because, and the reason why that was especially glaring is, you know where the concept of multiversal Spider-Man teaming up to tackle a force starts in? You know where that idea originates in? In the series finale of the 1990s animated Spider-Man cartoon. That show ends with a cliffhanger where he is about to travel the multiverse to find his wife. And I know what a bunch of people are going to be thinking. Well, Spider-Man Unlimited was in there, so that means... No, okay? I understand they tried to market Spider-Man Unlimited as this sort of sequel to the original 90s show, but it's not. None of the canon between the two shows make any sense. There's absolutely no continuity between the two shows. Peter acts like a, quite frankly, very different person in Unlimited than he does in the 90s show. All Spider-Man Unlimited was that the creators saw Batman Beyond and went, I want to do that, but with Spider-Man, and also way worse. So on a personal note,
also apparently
Go ahead, Tim.
supposed to be that apparently was supposed to be Spider-Man 99 in that show, but then they saw Batman Beyond and they were like, let's do something slightly different.
Yeah. And my whole thing with it is, like, it's a very different character. And it was cool that Spider-Man Unlimited was in it. Not just in it, but, like, featured very prominently in quite a few shots. I know.
It looks so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And I say that as someone who doesn't super love that costume to begin with. I super don't love the character design of Unlimited in general. Ethan and I were talking about this the other. He disagrees with me. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I like the show fine. It's just so disappointing compared to the first one. Anyway, my point being is that I would really love, and I honestly expect to see the 90s animated Spider-Man in the next one. And I would really love to, because Christopher Daniel Barnes does one of my favorite interpretations of the character. His vocal performance in that show, I just think is fantastic. It's probably my second favorite Spider-Man cartoon after Spectacular Spider-Man. And on a very selfish note, obviously I want Beyond the Spider-Verse to focus on Miles and resolving his story. But since the 90s show did end with Peter starting a search through the multiverse to find his wife, I think on a very selfish note, it would be kind of cool if maybe the 90s Spider-Man shows up here and he does find his wife. I don't actually think that'll happen, but I would like to see it because it would be a little bit of extra closure on that one. And I think it'd be cool to see that only because Spider-Verse as a concept would not exist if not for the cartoon.
It could kind of...
I feel like that would be a good way to get Madam...
I was just going to say, that could be kind of like how No Way Home gave Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man his, like, saving MJ moment. Letting that come to fruition.
Just that little bit of closure. And Ethan, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like if you were going to involve Madam Web in the proceedings, that would be a good way to get Madam Web involved. Is because Madam Web is sort of famously the one who organizes that whole thing, and so you could have the various spider folks from that particular incarnation doing their own thing. That might be a little overstuffed. That might be asking for just a bit too much. But it would be fun if they were at least able to get like a small thing in there.
And I agree, because it's interesting. Madam Web is historically such a prominent part of the Web of Destiny and the multiversal Spider-Man concepts that she hasn't even remotely cropped up yet, and these two are interesting. Sorry, Joe, you've been waiting.
Speaking of the 90s cartoon, and more specifically characters that show up in this movie that also show up in the 90s cartoon and are the butt of a fucking joke, can we talk about Ben Reilly being in this?
Oh, yeah, God, I forgot about it. So there are a lot of Ben Reilly fans out there that aren't a big fan of this. And my whole thing is, I get it, it's very different. Just say it's a different Ben Reilly. And two, just dripping in 90s edge. Just all the Liefeldisms come to life. Fucking going into the hallway, there's a...
McFarlane.
What did I say?
You said Liefeld.
You're right, McFarlaneism, sorry. They both suck.
Yeah, they do. Fuck both.
McFarlane less so, but they both suck. All of those, like, and he goes into the fucking alleyway, and he sees the giant portal, and he's like, something's wrong here. Or, like, just right before that, where he's like, perfect pose. Andy Samberg just works gold with that character. I also
Wait, that's Andy
love the way
Samberg?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
I love the way he's animated. It reminds me very much of the 2005 Ultimate Spider-Man game. As Ethan pointed out when I said, it looks like something out of a video game, and Ethan called me out and specifically said, yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man. And I went, yeah. I didn't want to say that because it felt too obvious.
Pick it up. Yeah. Back onto the sort of recentering the conversation around the contents of the film itself. I do like that Miguel's whole thing is basically that he does what the Kingpin wants to do. Like, he succeeds at the Kingpin's plan of getting his wife and child back, and it ruins everything, as it would have, inevitably, for the Kingpin. But I like that it's sort of building on, like, here's, what happens to someone after they do this, and someone with theoretically nobler intentions. I feel like Miguel, like stealing someone's life is, like, so ideologically, like, beyond the pale. I do wonder if there's going to be a reveal, like, a last second, like, it's not actually Miguel, it's Morbius, as I alluded to at the end of the episode proper. But there is a character in Spider-Verse.
Sorry, it wouldn't be Morbius. I understand Morbius is a vampire, but first off, Miguel has always had the fangs. That's not a thing they made up for the movie. He has a fangs in the first original thing where he shows up.
I know, but somebody's going to comment on the video about that, just like they're going to comment about how spiders are arachnids.
Ethan, I desperately wanted to say that in the episode. I don't know if you saw, but my face...
Oh, I know. I know.
Tanner.
Yeah, I can do it. I'm with that. I'm gonna say first. Beetles, fucking arachnid. Spiders aren't insects, idiot. No. What the fuck was I talking about? Shit. Fuck me.
Spider-Man 2099.
You were talking about the
right,
actual
no,
identity
so
of Miguel.
if they were to do that, and I really, really hope they don't, because to me, the entire character arc and the theme of these movies are way more interesting if it's just that Miguel is wrong and there's no sinister intentions behind it. But if there is, it wouldn't be that they reveal he's Morbius, it'd be that they reveal that he's Morlun, who is the villain of the original Spider-Verse event comic. I don't know why I hit my glasses, is the villain of the original Spider-Verse event comic, who essentially is a interdimensional, cross-dimensional, energy-sucking vampire who specifically can only feed on spider totems. Now, for the rest of you, except for maybe Joe, who probably hear the word spider totem and think I'm having a stroke, let me explain something that Marvel editorial has done in the last 20 years.
Here we go.
When they started expanding upon alternate spider people, they decided to push forth this idea that every universe has a spider hero, specifically a spider totem. That, like, the fabric of reality was centered around the fact that every universe has a spider protector, a spider totem. It's a universal constant. It's a thing that will always happen. It always has happened. It always will happen. My problem with this is that instead of Peter Parker just happening to be in the place where he could get bit by the spider, it's transformed him from that to the literal chosen one who is forever destined to be bitten by the spider for the sake of the fabric of reality. And I don't find that very interesting. I find that annoying, which is why this also, and I'll tie this back to the movie here, Ethan, it also ties back to the whole thing of Miguel being like, you're an anomaly. You were never supposed to be Spider-Man. Who the fuck is supposed to be Spider-Man? Anybody can be Spider-Man. It's not a thing ordained by God. When Steve Ditko and Stan Lee created the character of Spider-Man, the entire point was that they didn't want a hero that you idolize, that you look up to, like a Superman or a Batman. Those people have their place in comics. But the whole point of Spider-Man was that he's the everyman. You could be Spider-Man. That's why they put him in that big full-body mask, because it could have been anybody behind that mask. That's the whole point of Peter. So making it so it's his destiny to be Spider-Man, that it's a universal constant, that it's a fabric of reality-altering thing, just makes the character more boring, which is why I really like Miles in these comics. Sure, yeah, maybe that spider wasn't supposed to bite him, but it fucking did, and he's fucking Spider-Man.
And that goes back to what you were saying on the episode, Tanner, about how, like, this, like, conflict with Miguel and Miles, it feels like such an interesting and natural, like, connection to, like, the anyone can wear the mask scene from Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it was just done so well, like a natural progression. I just felt like there were so many lines like that made you think of the first movie and the themes and messages of the first movie that Across the Spider-Verse just seems to directly challenge. And I personally really liked how Miles just sort of immediately like called Miguel's bullshit on it, almost like it wasn't like this like moment that he had of like revelation of like, no, he's wrong. He just it was very satisfying to see Miles be like, no, like I belong here. I am Spider-Man. And yeah, I think that kind of goes to what you were talking about, Hannah, of like that love letter to Spider-Man of this movie being like, no, everyone who's saying that Spider-Man isn't Miles or that Spider-Man is only Peter, or like this Spider-Man isn't the true Spider-Man.
Yes.
I think this movie does just exceptionally
Was
well.
the movie suggesting, because you've got to sort of like untie the knot eventually, that Gwen had sort of like escaped the paradigm by revealing she was a spider person to her parents, and that's how we fix this, is not keeping the identity so close to your chest and like acting like, you know, it's all got to be a secret?
No, I understand what you're getting at, and I think the movie, the way the movie's telegraphing it, is not necessarily like, I think that was opening Gwen's eyes immediately that things don't have to happen the way Miguel says they have to happen. George resigns as captain, and I don't even necessarily think that's like a thing where it's like, oh, so the secret is revealing the identity. I think the point is that it's not actually that important, that things happen as they may. Like, my whole thing with Miguel and why I think he's wrong is that the evidence he brings up to support that these canon event things are real, are, one, what happens in Mubantin, the Indian Spider-Man's universe, which to me looks like damage that the Spot caused because it looks identical to his portals, number one.
Right.
And number two, what Ethan was getting at earlier, how he replaced another Miguel in another reality. But to me, that's not altering a canon event. He didn't save anyone that was supposed to die. He didn't kill someone that was supposed to live. Yeah, sure, Miguel died, but he didn't save that Miguel. He just replaced him. So, to me, maybe the whole point is that it's not necessarily what Miguel did wrong was that he stayed in a different universe too long. That's what I think actually destroyed that universe.
And Miguel is so powerful, he's got so much juice, that instead of him glitching, the whole universe glitched out.
Like,
inverted, because he's so cool.
Literally, because those are the only two pieces of evidence he provides. What happens to Mabantin, which again is clearly caused by the Spot, and what he did, which quite frankly just doesn't even fit in with the idea of canon events as he himself explains them.
That fucker.
And like the canon event being disrupted as like kind of notified on the watch was disrupted because Miles, someone who wasn't from that dimension, disrupted it. But like affecting canon, if it's in like the dimension you're from, I guess doesn't seem to apply to like Miguel being like, well, the world's gonna be destroyed. It only seems to like happen when like someone from another dimension alters the course in a dimension that they're not from. And so I think that kind of goes into what I was saying like on the episode of like the canon events don't make sense as Miguel explains it.
Like the other big thing there is like not only did Miles save that captain, I think what they all seem to like completely miss and just not occur is that the only reason that police captain was ever in danger to begin with is because of Miles and the other spider people and the Spot. The police captain would not have been in danger if it wasn't for people that are outside of this universe. So like
and that, I mean, when Gwen asks Miguel, like, do you know what happens if you break the canon? Like, how is there even, like, a set canon for Miles if he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man in the first place? Like, how does Miguel know that this is gonna, like, break canon?
That's the thing. Like, everyone's taking Miguel at his word. Yeah, so, nothing he says makes even internal sense logically. Like, all of his points contradict each other. Mm-hmm. Beyond, like, the larger meta-narrative at place, which is, you know, he's wrong, anybody can be Spider-Man. Like, the own internal logic doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It's all bullshit. And, like, maybe you could nitpick the movie and say, well, spider people are supposed to be these genius-level intellect people. How come none of them have put that together? I think it's worth mentioning that if, like, Miguel, like, just bombards you with, hey, you know, this is what happened. I killed a whole universe full of people, and he's this big fucking 6'7", 220 pounds, and there's two of me ass motherfucker. you would probably be like, all right, I'm going to go with what that guy says. I don't want to get, like, choked the life out of me by this fucker.
Right.
Yeah. And we also don't know if, like, anybody who disagreed with him might just not be part of the club, or they might have gotten the boot. But with your I do want to call out the extremely good bit where, much like drawing parallels to the Kingpin, Miles defeats Miguel by deploying the shoulder touch.
Every time.
It works every time, 60% of the time.
I
It
love
works
Peter
all
B's
the time.
Parker response. I love when Peter B. Parker in that scene says, "Oh, he did plan this out."
Yes.
Yeah. Also, I love that because the 2099 suit is electronic, seeing it like that delightful like glitching and chromatic aberration kind of stuff going on there, as he chases after Miles. It's such a good effect. Like, there's so much effects work going on here. Like, obviously we're recording this before the movie's available on VOD and everything, but so it's a bit harder to have like the proof, the physical image of the picture, but it's like already improving so much on an already really remarkable film. It's just so good looking.
There was this one shot in the opening, and the opening really punches you in the face. Even just the logos in the beginning punch you in the face. But there's this shot of a time lapse of Gwen Stacy at her dinner table, where she cycles through a bunch of hairstyles and like articles of clothing. And I was like, I really hope they figured out some procedural, like, Houdini-ass way to do that, because time lapses in animation are so much more difficult than live action, because you have to just do a bunch of shit. That was fucking mind-blowing as a shot. The idea of them just setting up all these different little frames, you know, with custom clothing on each one. Jesus Christ, they were flexing the whole time. Ooh. Fucking beautiful.
And that actually reminds me of like just things that look so good and that like technically must have been a nightmare. I saw somewhere that
how have we not talked about that one yet?
Opening fight scene with Gwen. He was he's like I can't remember the exact. I saw a number of layers that he was, but he is like he is a shit ton of layers, and they're all like rigged on top of each other in a hierarchy. And I just thinking of like the logistics of animating it and how they made it look hand drawn and just so like that, like it's just so gorgeous and so beautiful. And I'm sure it was an absolute.
I'm sure you could point to any frame from this movie and be like, I'm sure that was an absolute nightmare to animate.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about like even like the credits, the credits bits. Comparatively, like the original one has that fun bit where it's just like a bunch of models, but copied models of the various spider people, and that's fun, like with the cell shading. But here, with like proper full-on animation of the figures, like with real timing to it in that gorgeous painterly style, it's so good, so impressive. Or like Miles racing towards his apartment. The level of like animated detail is like the train tracks twist around and the whole city sort of contorts around him. Like the way it visualizes his everything he's been going throughout the film, basically also serving as a really effective recap of the events of the first film and how those are still like resonating with him. Just on a like storytelling level, thematic level, presentation level, that's just the level we're really amping everything up to the nth degree in this film, and it's just massive.
You know, that actually reminds me, Ethan, of how so for me, I do like this movie more than the first one. However, I do think that this movie lacks a singular scene that is as great as the leap of faith scene from the first movie, when What's Up Danger starts playing, and, you know, it's that iconic shot of Miles. He's falling. No, he's not falling. He's rising. There is no singular scene of this movie that I think is as good as that one. But if any singular scene does come close to that one, it's that specific scene that you're talking about, Ethan, where he's swinging through the alternate universe to his apartment, and like the city's literally bending its like around him for that recap thing. I think that is the closest this one comes to matching the heights of the leap of faith What's Up Danger scene. I imagine most people like it, and honestly, I think what a lot of it has to do with it, I'm willing to bet that if you just copy-pasted the What's Up Danger song into that scene from this one, might like it more. I just really, really like the way What's Up Danger is used in that scene in the first one.
Well, also because the What's Up Danger in that...
Yeah, it was integrated with the score.
The song plopped into the movie. Yeah, so like that, I agree with that in that I loved this one, but for me, like the highs of like the peaks of Into the Spider-Verse, I never quite have like a singular like scene that peaked for me in the same way that several moments from Into the Spider-Verse did. But like I said earlier, like since it's kind of like gathering up to Beyond, I'm fully expecting Beyond to completely overpass both.
I in my heart of hearts, I am believing that. I just don't want to say that because then I don't want to build it up in my mind too much.
I hope they delay Beyond.
Fair.
For the sake of unless everyone on the press tour is really good at keeping secrets, they better delay that movie. Because everyone's acting like they're like, oh, back into the frying pan, when they should have been making both movies simultaneously. Now, they might have been doing that, but everyone's been fucking lip-sealed about that for the most part,
they
right?
definitely were. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of stuff for the new one is already animated. Because, like,
God.
when we say that this movie feels like just the first half of a larger movie, that's because it literally is. They were just making one sequel. And then it got so big that Lord and Miller basically went to Sony and be like, hey, if this is going to stay as one movie, you're going to have to delay it for like 2 years. And also it's going to be 5 hours long. Can we make this 2 movies instead? And like, that's why structurally it feels like a giant second act. It wouldn't surprise me if Beyond the Spider-Verse, and I'm sure it'll have its own 3-act structure, but as this larger piece, it wouldn't surprise me if Beyond the Spider-Verse feels like a giant third act. And that sentence excites me.
Scenes from Beyond the Spider-Verse have
thank
already
God.
been like,
Yeah, that
figured
sounds
out
right.
and worked on. No, they split up.
And like, and a lot of people are saying Haley Steinfeld hasn't like recorded any lines yet. Apparently, nobody's recorded lines yet. What? Unlike the Disney Pixar model, where they record their voiceover first and then use the performance to help inform how they animate it, the way these past 2 Spider-Verse movies have worked is that they've been usually using temp voice actor audio when they're animating, and then one of the last things they do is actually bring in the cast to record the lines. From what I understand, that's how most animation works. Pixar, Disney's the exception, not the other way around. Am I right in that, Ethan? Laura, am I correct in saying that? Okay.
Yeah, sure. The big thing here in this film too, or like, because there were instances where they did kind of go back to the drawing board because of an actor's performance and completely redo things. The Prowler's death scene in the commentary, they mentioned that in Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like we had the temp animation, we had it all done, and then we got this performance in, and we had to redo it. We had to go back to it, but it's not a consistent thing. Also, another big thing is you don't have to do a whole ton of lip sync because their faces are covered. You can see their mouth.
That is a great point. Why they're able to get away with it more.
The secret sauce.
However, I do 100% expect the movie's going to get delayed. If only because Lord and Miller are in the WGA and they're on strike right now, and they have been saying they haven't finished writing the second act. Unless they're going to cross a picket line, which I would imagine they won't do, they're probably not finishing it. Or they are, but they're doing it secretly. I don't know.
Honestly, if it gives the movie more time to get finished, that makes me happy. I just, everyone acts like this movie has just been destroying their lives for like 5 years. And the idea of having to top it or have something that seems like a finale to this specific movie, like, I can wait. I just want that third movie to be fucking
just hire more 14-year-olds.
Just do 2,000 animators.
Just hire
every
more
animator.
Children. Hire everything. Hire everyone.
Kidnap 1,000 children before I let Spider-Verse die.
Before I let it get. Oh, I fucking love that. That's the fucking funniest thing anyone said this week. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
I hope they use like style transfer
I
and
agree,
all that stuff in order to achieve some of these effects. Otherwise, I'm gonna be really fucking shocked because they made an AI that does this stuff a while back. Coke used it in a commercial. I hope they integrated that kind of AI into it all by hand.
And another thing worth mentioning that Ethan told me about why it maybe won't get delayed. Ethan, I believe the way you phrased it is that because this is essentially one giant movie, there's a good chance that a lot of the assets for the next one are already done. Is that correct?
I mean, yeah, like a lot of the character models and everything are all rigged up, and a lot of the scenes. I imagine they will use different sets,
right?
Some different sets and that sort of thing. But like, because I doubt it will be. The thing that I think we've been emphasizing so much is that despite like in some ways looking similar, it's such a huge technical leap between Into the Spider-Verse and Across, like just massive. And while I don't expect that Beyond will be as big of a technical leap in that aspect, I don't think it has to be. I think that would create almost kind of a dissonance in just how intertwined these two. I still think it will be visually massively impressive. Like it's still going to do a lot of interesting things and like generate some new aesthetics. But like in terms of reusing the New York sets and that sort of thing, I think that there is something to be said about recycling assets. A bunch of the Spider folks, fully rigged models and everything. A lot of the same like lighting situations can be recycled and that sort of thing. Like that is, obviously a very like bird's eye view kind of take on this sort of thing. And I do agree that a year and just like
9 months.
A year, really,
they have 9 months.
Is not enough time. Yeah, 9 months. They have 9 months to get this baby.
Crack that baby right open. Anyway, that actually reminds me of something. So like the budget of this movie, how much money they spent on this movie. To people that do know, don't answer. But to the people that don't know, do you know how much the budget of this movie was?
I don't.
Oh, sorry. I thought
it was,
did, then I remembered.
It was $100 million. That is less than half of what Lightyear cost last year.
That is the same budget as Noah Baumbach's White Noise. That is the same budget as the White Noise movie.
Ugh.
Evan Almighty cost almost 3 times as much as Across the Spider-Verse. All right.
That is the best.
Fast 10 cost $350 million fucking dollars.
Yeah, that's 3.5 times. Speaking of movies that are just half a movie.
Oh yeah, I saw that as a double feature basically. I saw Fast X Sunday, I saw Spider-Verse Monday. I was telling my husband, I was just like, yeah, it's the movies that don't have a real fucking ending double feature. Let's go.
But what like
Do
the
movies
difference
just not end though anymore?
The difference between them for me is like what we've all been basically saying. Gwen's arc serves as at least some emotional closure in this movie. While I'm about to spoil Fast X here to the audience, Fast X spoiler alert. The 3 of you that haven't seen Fast X in here, I'm going to imagine just you don't give a shit. So basically what happens in Fast X is that Dom, for like the 17th time in a row, does something stupid and insane in order to save his son. And then right after he does that, the villain blows up a plane filled with like half of his friends, including Han. Han dies again. And then like essentially what happens is that he's able to like escape an explosion by like riding down a dam, and he's fine and he's safe. And then the villain's like, well, Dom, you've suffered enough. Now I'm gonna kill you. Revealing he's rigged this dam up with like 20 fucking bombs, and it's just about to explode this dam right into them. And Vin looks at his like 10-year-old son with like this mildly... That's the funny thing. Vin has one face, mildly concerned. These bombs are about to explode, and Vin looks at his son mildly concerned, like, And then the movie cuts, not to credits, it cuts to Gal Gadot coming out of the Arctic in a goddamn submarine, and then the movie ends. All right,
Fast 10.
This one has emotional closure. This one, you know how Hitchcock's always like, if you show that there's a bomb, the tension isn't that there's a bomb, the tension is that the bomb could go off at any moment or whatever. Fast X ends with being like, yeah, we have a bomb. Cut off. You don't know what they're going to do with that bomb. There's just a bomb.
Was playing.
It would honestly kind of be like if in this movie it ends with like the Prowler Miles Morales halfway through taking off his mask. It's kind of like that.
How funny would the movie be if the movie cut right after alternate universe Prowler punches the punching bag? Because I've heard people saying they thought it was Miles's brains going out, like
they just go full Sopranos, and then instead of the mid-credit scene being like Miles Morales will return to Beyond the Spider-Verse, it says Miles Morales is dead.
Well, you could say Miles Morales will return, but it's just the Prowler. Like, you just see, like, a completely, like
The-
jaw
the
hanging,
third-
everything.
The third
gore.
movie is just the entire vision that Miles sees as he is dying.
Yeah. Speaking of the next movie, though, that reminds me how because the Spider Universe hopped, and because of that universe never had a Spider-Man, I think Miles is going to be able to escape that situation because, you already see him taking off his gloves or whatever so he can do his, like, bioelectricity thing. Like, he's already getting ready to do that. But something I personally thought of is that this universe doesn't have a Spider-Man. However,
I don't know.
that doesn't necessarily mean this universe doesn't have a Peter Parker.
Okay.
The universe 42, that one that spider comes from, there's probably still a Peter Parker there. And if he's anything like most Peter Parkers, he's a genius. He's a very smart person. Like, maybe like the Spider team that's trying to save Miles doesn't know what universe he's in, but maybe Peter will be able to help build him something that can help Miles get out of there or something. Yeah, that's just speculation. I think that'd be kind of interesting because I think it would tie into, like, anyone can put on the mask. Anyone can be a hero. You don't even need powers to be it. Sorry, Ethan, what were you saying?
I do wonder because there's a note in the Spot's lab that says 42 dead, sad face. Which I presume means that his original identity in Universe 42 is dead. He's deceased. He's no longer ceased to be.
I interpret that as the spider being dead.
I wonder if that's...
Yeah, I thought that was the spider. Because you see the spider hanging above that.
Because, like, that's a historic thing.
Yeah,
the spider that bites Peter, like, almost always dies immediately after.
Almost always dies. I wasn't sure. That's the thing. It was throwing me because I was thinking the same thing. Was that it might be that his spider experiment. I was a bit confused by that. I presumed that he got it from Universe 42 using the Universal Collider. That might just be me losing track of.
There's so much going on.
A little bit.
The spider's from 42.
Yeah.
That we know for sure.
But then the spider stays in the universe because Miles goes back to see it once he gets bit. Yeah.
Yes. That is correct. That is correct. I think for some reason in my brain I was like the dimensional experiments are what made it radioactive. And that is not actually the case. I don't think. I think that's just what I got from the original film, from Into the Spider-Verse. Was like it glitching out. It was just related to it being from another universe. It was. I do like that in that it's like it's a crazy radioactive spider from another world, but it's completely unrelated to the fact that it is also a radioactive spider that will give.
Those are two different things. It's kind of like how in Spider-Man Noir, it's not a radioactive spider, it's a magical spider, and a spider god's like, hey, Peter, you got bit by the spider. I'm going to give you superpowers. Here's a gun.
That's
Beetle. That's also Spider-Man Noir. That's the origin of Spider-Man Noir in the comics. It's not that it's a radioactive spider, it's a spider totem. This literal spider statue, and like Peter messes with it, and then it bites him, and then he passes out, and then when he comes to, he's in this fucking dark ass room, and this little crazy looking lady with like 12 arms shows up, and it's like, hello, this is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I mean, hello, Spider-Man Noir. I want you to have superpowers. I hope Turn Off the Dark Spider-Man's in the next one. That's the stupid one I want to see.
Joe.
I was going to mention, because you mentioned Spider-God, and I was just thinking about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark's original, like, script, and how...
Original? That's in the one that went to Broadway too, Joe. That part never went away.
Oh, God. Regardless, but yeah, I 100% agree. I hope that Turn Off the Dark Spider-Man shows up in live action, and, like, multiple stuntmen on that show. I hope that the joke is that Turn Off the Dark Spider-Man, like, slips on something and just injures himself, and he's incapacitated for the rest of the movie.
He sprains his ankle, just like me.
Open Beyond the Spider-Verse, Randy Marsh shows up dressed as Spider-Man. That's what I want.
I hope in Beyond the Spider-Verse, Patton Oswalt from Parks and Recreation shows up and goes, so this is how we can finally get the Marvel Star Wars crossover.
There you go.
It's funny because we were talking all about this ending, and just like, just all that shit that happens in the end, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been just doing a whole ton of fucking Matrix comparisons to this, because man, you could compare this to Reloaded, and yet this is a significantly better movie. This is The Matrix Reloaded done better.
As a Reloaded defender, yes.
Like, I love Reloaded. I love that movie. This movie has a freeway chase in it. The one that goes up to the moon. This movie literally ends on a cliffhanger with the yin and the yang, Neo and Bane possessed by Smith. This movie ends with a looming threat of another villain, another Smith connection. They have to rescue Neo. They have to rescue Miles. He's kind of honed in his spider powers, like how Neo's honed in his Matrix God powers, as he's like fighting agents. Spider-Man fighting Spot at the beginning. There's honestly, hearing that this next one might be just like one big third act makes me think we are just gonna get the Matrix Resurrections. I keep want to. That's the fourth one.
Matrix.
The Matrix Revolutions, but significantly better, and I really love Revolutions. Also, I'll say this, another comparison that I'll make, comparing movies to just being one big third acts. You know, I would really like to have a movie that's one big third act, that's really fucking good, that isn't a goddamn Harry Potter movie, without feeling shame for saying that I like it, because I love Deathly Hallows Part 2. It's a great fucking movie, and it's a great third act of a movie, but J.K. Rowling has just tarnished that franchise that I just don't feel comfortable, like, saying that I like it. So, you know, if this movie fucking turns out to be just one big third act, and it's just this glorious thing of, like, animation and just wraps everything up beautifully, man, oh man, this movie's gonna fucking change everything. Like, this trilogy is going to fucking change everything.
You know, speaking of the third one...
Have we gotten a new Lord of the Rings, but in animation form and as, like, a comic book movie? Have we almost found a new perfect trilogy?
Yeah, I mean,
Ralph Bakshi, furious. I was supposed to make an animated multi-part.
What the fuck? You know, that actually
punches hole in wall.
Fuck. What were you just saying, Joe? God damn it.
I did want to say less J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of J.K. Simmons, I wanted to go back to a point I wanted to bring up earlier. I love how, for starters, he's the one consistent character that has, like, the same voice actor. And I love how in the universe where there's no Spider-Man, it's J. Jonah Jameson clamoring for someone to be a vigilante.
Yeah, no, that actually reminds me. Clamoring someone to be a vigilante. I've seen people on Twitter say that apparently if you look at, like, the news ticker at the bottom of the screen in that scene, like, it apparently says something like new vigilante yada yada or something. Maybe it's just JK clamoring for one, but what if, like, even with the lack of a Spider-Man, of a spider power person, somebody still decided to rise up and, you know, hypothetically, what if that person is still Peter Parker? I'm just saying, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah. Another thing I do want to bring up, that it's just like a useless bit of information, but Rachel Dratch from SNL is in this movie.
Oh yeah, she voices the guidance counselor.
And I just want to bring that up because I think it's hilarious that the actress that plays Debbie Downer on SNL is in this movie.
Well, speaking of actors that are in this movie, like pretty well-known actors that are in this movie but barely in this movie, the Peter Parker in Gwen's universe, the one that becomes the Lizard, that Peter Parker is voiced by Jack Quaid.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that guy's voiced by Jack Quaid.
Fucking
Jack Quaid, a guy who's
this?
like the star of a huge show that's on Amazon, and he just like has a few lines. Like, that's cool. Like, that's the thing I love. They brought in all these voice actors. Like, they brought in Josh Keaton to voice Spectacular Spider-Man. They brought in Yuri Lowenthal to voice the Spider-Man from the games, even though those guys have, like, a couple lines at best. It's a nice attention to detail I like.
Yeah.
Wait, when Peter's dying and he says, I wanted it to be special like you, Gwen, why does Gwen go, who's Gwen? Like, does that line confuse anyone else, or is it just me?
The way I interpreted it is that Gwen was in denial that Peter was about to die, and also Peter didn't know, or Gwen thought Peter didn't know. Gwen was trying to keep it a secret from everybody. So Peter being like, yeah, I knew. I wanted to be like you. And I guess it's partially like her being in denial that Peter knew. Peter's dying and wanting Peter to like be alive, so she needs to keep her secret, for one. And two, hearing him say that as he's dying, I wanted to be like you, kind of puts this, probably unfairly would make Gwen be like, oh shit, this is literally my fault. You wouldn't have done this if it weren't for me, kind of thing. So I think I get what you're saying at Austin. That kind of threw me off at first too, but then I put it together like, oh, I guess Peter just didn't know, or Gwen thought Peter didn't know, rather.
Yeah, I think it's addressing that like thematic concern that she has with sharing her identity with others as well. Is like, because she can't tell her father, she feels like she can't tell anyone about this, and then when she finally does, her father pulls a gun on her again, but this time knowing who she is, which I think that is what they are going for there. But it can be.
I was worried it was this film's bagel, that it was like a little bit of beyond, like a twisted beyond, just like that one line. Gwen, Peter going, "Who's Gwen?" Like that was what they were gonna bagel us with later.
It's kind of nuts that random background detail with the bagel that like people would point out later wound up becoming a major part of this one's origin story.
Speaking of that bagel, I love how part of the Spot's origin story is literally the Jack Black character in Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Oh my god!
He has a piece of like food thrown at him, and then he just kind of becomes the villain out of nowhere.
Now the Spot's gonna punt his dog.
No. It's like you just destroyed my life. There it is. What do you got? Well, I love poetry and being Spider-Man, and of course, my dear father here. Okay, well, guess what? Now this is happening.
Speaking, I'm sorry, I just want to get this off my chest because I just now remembered it. Speaking of funny things, going back to that whole Spider-Verse chase scene, and when Miles goes into that one room that has a bazillion Spider people in it, and Metro Boomin, who did the soundtrack for this movie, he like curated the soundtrack of this movie, voices his own custom Spider-Man character. He's like, all right, oh man, it's over. Got nowhere to run. Then he fucking Miles just jumps out the goddamn window. And then it cuts back to that guy being like, my bad, y'all. He did have somewhere to run. It fucking kills me. Just how nonchalant he is, like, my bad. I just love that. Oh, it's so funny. This movie is so fucking... It's so fucking, period. That's what it is. It's so fucking.
This movie fucks.
I was about to say, this movie fucks.
I did want to bring up one particular bit that I liked that was kind of, I don't know, like it's so low-key that I feel like it's weird to compare the two, but it gave me like that, like, I don't know, vibe, that ambience, I don't know. Of the What's Up Danger scene. It's the scene of all things when Gwen ties up her hair before she goes upside down and uses her webs to kind of pull herself down so that she's stuck to the ledge. And that moment of intimacy between the two. There's such good, like, in terms of animated storytelling, character acting, like when you see her eyes dart down when she sees Miles like moving his hand closer and closer to hers when she kind of like diffuses the situation there to keep them distant, and just the framing of it. It's just the New York skyline seen upside down. That attention to detail with her hair and the ponytail.
Even her eyebrows, apparently, if you pay
it's
attention
just such
to
a
that scene,
wonderful
her eyebrows are slightly feeling the effect of gravity or something. I saw somewhere on Twitter. Also, one of my all-time new favorite shots in the Spider-Man movie. It's so simple, but it's that shot of Gwen starting on top of that gargoyle and the camera following her as she just simply walks around to the bottom of it. John Watts, you goddamn hack. Why can't you put that in one of these live-action Spider-Man movies? For the love of God, please.
We need
And
more
that,
Super Mario
Tanner,
Galaxy shots.
Tanner, you're not me. Why would you say that to John Watts?
You're right. I'm usually a Watts defender. It's just like I see what this movie can do, and I still love No Way Home. But this one kind of slightly spoils No Way Home because why couldn't No Way Home bring back those Spider-Men and also make me just fucking blow my mind in terms of visuals?
God, what has the world? Sorry.
John Watts. Well, I said one. John Watts absolutely should be the actual name of Electro. Two, Laurel,
I
what were you
was
gonna
just
say?
gonna comment on the visual of that scene specifically, and that shot where after Gwen like walks underneath the ledge, and then you see the shot of them like in the corner of the screen, and Miles is standing up like facing and
Desktop wallpaper.
Gwen is like sitting down. It's like it I don't know. It just like symbolizes like Miles is like ready to like stand up and fight and be like, no, I don't want to let this happen. Whereas Gwen is kind of hiding, like she doesn't want to deal with the canon. She doesn't want to like face what's gonna happen, and it's just. I guess I agree with that. That's sort of like this movie's equivalent to like the Miles isn't falling, he's rising moment of this movie, and that shot is beautiful.
Yeah, it more than anything, like, it doesn't symbolize like a single moment of character growth. It symbolizes sort of a sustained like change in shift in their dynamics to one another. Yeah, which I think, and it's so artfully done. I mean, like, literally everything in this movie is artfully done, basically. Like, there's a handful of moments where, like, the lighting in a scene kind of draws attention to a render or something. I guess I want to vocalize those just because, like, I think it's to the film, a testament to the film's overall quality, that those brief moments where, like, my eye is attracted to the scenes and that sort of thing, or, like, maybe a composition isn't absolutely perfect the way it should be. But it's a reminder that these are pieces of art that are made by a team of literal thousands of people.
And a child.
And they're pushing. Child. And children are people too, Tanner.
I disagree. No rights for children 2024.
Well, I'm sorry, Tanner, but you are a child. So, yeah. God damn it. I hate it here.
Speaking of babies, there's a baby in this movie that's swinging around.
Yeah.
Fucking love that shit. I fucking love when, like, when she craps her pants, and, like, what Tim would just do, Hobie's like, that kid's a total anarchist. I fucking love that.
I cannot wait for Peter B. Parker to be horribly maimed so that he can no longer be Spider-Man in the next movie.
Shouldn't Mayday grow up a little before they do that, though? A baby can protect the city, you're right.
Yeah, she does. She's
the boss baby. She got the Tobey Maguire blood in her.
The Bakshi blood, famously in the first Boss Baby, that's Miles Bakshi as the older brother, Ralph Bakshi's grandson.
That reminds me about how all these different spider people that come. Yeah, all these different spider people that come from all these different universes. Part of me, they're clearly focusing on spider people, and that's a good thing. But, like, in Peter B. Parker's universe, is there an Avengers? Is there an X-Men? I'm just really curious about the aspect of it. If it's just a bunch of universes that only have a Spider-Man, I don't know. It's just something I wonder about.
Not interested. I don't want to do it over.
No, I'm not. I'm not asking.
The 1999-99.
The Earth.
No, I know what you're saying, Tanner.
Tim mentions the Earth number in this, which man, oh man, seeing going on TikTok and seeing the fucking Miss Marvel actress talk about like what universe the MCU is and fighting Kevin Feige about it, and then it being confirmed in this.
That's actually another thing I want to point out. Part of me wonders if Marvel Studios... this might deeply irritate Ethan what I'm about to say, but when Miguel does explain about the Web of Destiny thing, and it cuts to those literal webs, which real quick, when they're talking about all the Uncle Bens, one of the footages they show is from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game. Specifically, it's from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, not the movie, the video game. Just want to get that out there.
Well,
horrible game.
Spider-Man. Sorry, really quick. Isn't the Amazing Spider-Man video game in this film?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. TASM 2. Oh, no, you're talking about the new video game.
It is. It is in
Miles' roommate is playing.
Yeah, Yeah, so... when I first saw it, I was under the impression that was the Spider-Man game that came out 5 years ago. Some guy on Reddit went, no, the UI's different. Because like that clip apparently played like in a trailer before the movie. They went, no, the UI's different, and went like, I think this is from Spider-Man 2. Look at the UI. And then when the Spider-Man 2 gameplay trailer came out, the UI matched. So that guy somehow figured out Miles' roommate is playing Spider-Man 2 before the rest of us. But anyway, back to the larger point about the Web of Destiny or whatever. Right before it transitions to the Web of Destiny, it shows that like tree-looking design of what the timelines look like. I just want to point out that that's the exact same design. I mean, basically identical to the design that the Loki TV show uses to demonstrate alternate timelines. It's the exact same design.
Right. Yeah.
And I've also, this is going to deeply irritate Ethan, I have heard rumors through like leaks and stuff, like the reason why I knew Toby and Andrew were going to be in the movie beforehand, that there's speculation apparently that Marvel Studios wants characters from this movie to appear in their Secret Wars movie, and also wants them to appear in their animated form. That could be total bullshit, but also Secret Wars going full fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit sounds deeply entertaining, so I hope it is true.
I think that would.
I agree. I want him to do it though.
But yeah, that's fair. I think as long as it's like Peter Parker, if it's Spider-Ham, go for it. Dude,
Is
they completely
Richard Williams
undercut it.
still even alive to supervise that? You can't do it without Richard Williams.
No, he passed.
Disney froze him in a vault
Passed
20
away.
years ago, and they're gonna bring him back just for this. They knew. They had
Why
a plan.
Am I alive again? Who framed Roger
He's
Rabbit
going-
2? What do you think?
This is a joke very specifically for Laurel, but he is going to make Spider-Man walk.
We could do that. We could make that a reality.
Every walk I do is the gay
Laurel,
walk.
I'm commissioning you. I'm
Is
commissioning
the gay
you
walk
to
the
do.
thing from the Richard Williams studio thing with all the little different figures walking, or is it a different gay walk?
It's
Me and the
so-
boys. Me and the
It's in
boys
the
doing the
video.
gay walk.
It's in a video that Richard Williams. He was teaching a lesson, and he was telling the students about how, like, when you animate, like, in order to learn how to animate, you need to watch people and you need to learn how people move. And he was telling a story about how he was watching this man walk out of a cafe, and I'm gonna like butcher the delivery of it, but he was watching this man walk out of a cafe, and he was like, and he told the students, he was like,
And he threw a bagel at his head.
no. And he told the students, he was like, there was a moment where I looked at that man and I said, that man is gay. Like, based on how he was walking out of the cafe. And it's like one of the first things we see as animation students at Webster. Like, Chris Magback plays that video.
No, like, and sort of extrapolating upon it, it's like he has this revelation of, why did I think that was a gay walk? And then he chases after this person to look at them more.
Hey, feller, you gay?
He watches
what
them
you
move.
are.
Like, he's just studying.
It's the fucking dog. I know what you are.
And the whole thing is, the whole crux of the lesson is that his head doesn't bob. It moves like he carries, the individual carried himself more like a woman, quote unquote, in that he didn't like have a very pronounced stride. His feet were close together, and they were taking short steps, which keeps your head more level. Because he initially only saw him past a wall, like there was like a little gate or something, or a fence that obscured most of his body except for his head. So he was like, how did I know that was a gay walk when I didn't even see his legs? And then he demonstrates this through a wonderful example of like giving your character in their walk cycles by doing like a generic sexy lady and buff strong man doing like masculine walk versus feminine walk. But then he seals the deal. He avoids the curse of ruining himself via homophobia by swapping the character of the walk cycles and giving the large burly man the effeminate walk cycle, quote unquote, and the like generic sexy lady, the burly man, like legs splayed, like tromping and stomping sort of walk cycle. It's a deeply fun lecture. Richard Williams was absolutely insane
A
person.
unit of a man.
Jesus Christ.
For some reason you kept.
Go ahead.
Every time you said Richard Williams, my brain kept going, Richard Attenborough? No, Richard Williams. I don't know why. I just every time you would say something, and I would picture Richard Attenborough saying, and then I'm like, no, this is a different guy. Go ahead, Austin.
God, hold on. Sorry, Austin, just real quick.
Joe.
You say Richard Attenborough, and we're talking about this gay walk, and I'm just imagining, welcome to Jurassic Park. And then it's just these dinosaurs doing the same walk.
Spider-Man T-Rex doing the gay walk! Laurel, make it!
But Spider-Man.
I just can't get that visual out of my head.
When will the gamers get their Spider-Man?
Oh God.
I mean, you
know.
get several.
When this movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna take a screenshot of the scene where Miles is at his dad's party for him being sworn in as chief, and Miles opens the box with the 2 cakes in it, and it just says "I'm not proud," and it's all broken. I'm gonna go to a cake shop and be like, "Make me this. Make me these 2 cakes."
You know, the best part is I'm willing to bet that there'll be
Giving those to Tanner.
I think that's enough of this general discussion, guys. I think we should wrap this.
You've gone on too long.
I do have one question for you guys, because a funny thought, before we wrap this up, funny thought occurred to me. So there's 2 superhero multiverse movies coming out now, and now that Spider-Verse has come out,
The Flash is so goddamn fucked, dude.
I was gonna say, it's
God!
like, I was gonna say, for starters, it's like, who was really clamoring to see the Flash that badly before? But now that Spider-Verse has come out, who really fucking gives a shit now?
I
There's a man carrying thing video that is just like the advertisement for the Flash, and it's just all Batman, and then lowercase the Flash written on a Batman symbol.
Like I said, I've been waiting for a Flash movie my entire life, and when they finally make it, it's actually a goddamn Batman movie again.
Look, don't get me wrong. I'm very curious about The Flash. I will probably still see it now that I can see it for free. But, my fucking God, who gives a shit now? That movie's gonna flop.
I thought The Flash was fucked after, No Way Home came out and did the idea of bringing back these legacy actors that played the same character back and did it in such a very satisfying way to the fans. And now after Spider-Verse, I'm going to be honest, I don't give a shit about Michael Keaton in gray hair just randomly saying, in a vaguely monotone voice, "You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts." I'm sorry, did everyone think that Michael Keaton saying that was a super iconic thing he said?
Not the Coastal Bear.
You want to get nuts? I got
Let's
Coastal
get
Bear.
nuts.
Just full fucking Truman Show. Truman's wife from the Truman Show going, "You want to get nuts? Well, good, because I just got these great, delicious Coastal nuts. A bunch of flavor in every bite. Now available in 7 flavors," or whatever.
Who are you talking to?
If they had done,
I
if they had done Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie, that would have been cool. Michael Keaton as Batman in a Flash movie, I don't care.
The Batgirl movie was basically going to be that, with Michael Keaton's Batman passing the torch to Batgirl.
Yeah.
And we would have gotten fucking Brendan Fraser hot off his Oscar win playing a comic book villain.
What the fuck is Warner Brothers doing? How come
Fucking
Sony...
Discovery.
Why is Sony, the company that made Spider-Man 3, TASM 2, pretty sure they made the goddamn Ghost Rider movies too. How come
and Jill.
How come they're the ones absolutely nailing the superhero movie game right now?
Because Lord and Miller picked them.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking say.
Miller the money.
I'm gonna fucking. You know what? Fuck it. I'm there opening night for that goddamn Craven movie coming out this year.
Craven the Hunter.
You know what?
Hey,
it was Morbin time.
Craven time.
It's Craven time.
The disparity
I've got the
in
crave.
quality is really funny. It's like if the 1997 Spawn movie came out around the same time as The Dark Knight. It's just...
You know, that actually reminds me how a lot of people said that the first Venom movie felt like a superhero movie from 2005. They just forgot to release for 13 years. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. R-rated Craven the Hunter feels like a relic for some reason. It feels so distinctly 90s.
Yeah, because they used to make R-rated superhero movies more back then. You got Darkman, you got Darkman 2, Darkman 3, The Reckoning.
Blade.
There were others.
Blade.
Blade of
Yeah. Except they're going to make a Craven Last Hunt movie, but it doesn't have Spider-Man in it. They're also. Are you guys aware they're
Punisher.
making a live-action Madam Web movie? By the way, just throwing that out there. That's a
Starring-
thing.
Starring Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, fucking what's her name? that
Emma
played
Roberts.
Emma Roberts, the live-action Dora actress. I forget her name right off the top of my
Adam
head.
Scott.
Yeah, Adam Scott's in this.
Yeah, okay. So Adam Scott not only is in that Madam Web movie, he's allegedly playing Uncle Ben, because from what I understand, the plot of Madam Web is the plot of Terminator 2, except instead of John Connor, it's Peter Parker. And yes, that is as stupid as it sounds. I will be there opening night.
Allegedly.
I want to pre-order my tickets now for that. That just sounds beautifully stupid.
It sounds...
I love it. I
Sounds
love
like
it
trouble.
so much.
There we go.
Where's
God.
Iceman from Spider-Man and His Amazing
All
Friends
right.
in this movie? Why
Yeah,
isn't
what the
Bobby
fuck?
involved?
He's
Ethan,
stuck
answer for this crime.
He's stuck in the Bryan Singer universe, unfortunately.
Where's Firestar?
Firestar was like an OC creation, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yes, she was. She was
Firestar
great
is going to
for that
save the
show.
universe in the next one. Book it.
We finally
Book
did
it.
it. A feature-length Bomb Squad talks thing. This rocks. We crossed
We haven't
the
done-
90-minute mark.
Yeah, we haven't done this since like 84 Wonder Woman. You know, if you think about it, this is really the Beyond the Spider-Verse to the mainline series is Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay, so wait a second. We do have to bring up one thing, because Tim's poster reminded me of this fact. We do know that the tarantulas in Lucio Fulci's The Beyond are canon
What?
to Spider-Man, because they show up in the first
Oh!
Spider-Man film, in the Tobey Maguire scene. So, what we were getting is Lucio Fulci's Beyond the Spider-Verse.
You know what? Speaking of things that should be in Beyond the Spider-Verse, I think a fat guy in a Spider-Man mask dancing should be in the next one. I believe our podcast episode on the first Spider-Man movie is canon to the Spider-Man multiverse.
That's what they're gonna play at the Alamo pre-roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna... guys, I have a confession to make. We can't put this in the episode. I'm actually in the next Spider-Man movie. I'm just supposed to keep it a secret.
Oh, man. Yeah, I got a text. You just violated an NDA. He's not joking.
What's that red light?
They're cutting you out.
God.
Sergey.
Lord Miller, I'm leaving this on a positive note, but Lord Miller really liked it.
I thought you said positive note.
No, just on a note, on a real positive note. Sarcastically, not sarcastically, you could read on that however much you want. But like every interview, in the commentary, I think it comes up once or twice. They talk about how much they like Obama. There's an Obama sticker in this film. Like, I don't know why, it just gives me the exact same vibes as the Get
I would have
Out.
voted for Obama a third
I would have voted for him.
You know what, guys? I got it.
Third
You know
term.
who's gonna save the day at the very end of Beyond the Spider-Verse? Obama, baby. He's gonna drone strike the shit out of everybody.
I mean, he is technically canon in the Marvel universe.
I mean, yes, he's canon to this film. Miles Morales has a sticker.
And
saying
there's
how much he
also a
likes-
very specific Amazing Spider-Man comic with Barack Obama very prominently on the cover.
And also, it looks bad.
Spider-Man's just off in the
Hold on.
background. Like, he's like barely on the cover, and it's mostly Obama. It's honestly a brilliant.
You
fucking
think there's
comic.
a universe out there where Obama became Spider-Man? And do you think he still does drone strikes in that one?
Yes, and it's
Yes.
I mean,
very specifically, it's the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends universe where Barack Obama became Spider-Man.
Like that
Don't ask me
Spider-Man
how I know
retires, or it's just
But in the
Obama
end-
the whole time?
It's like the Miles Morales situation.
He passes the baton on to Obama.
Yes.
Instead of becoming a senator, he becomes Spider-Man.
it's like
He also becomes Iceman and Firestar.
This is like one of those sleepovers when you and your friends stay up too late. This is going nuts.
Yeah.
Austin, you always said you wanted to record the conversation that happened after the recording. We're
it's
there.
finally
We're
happened.
saying
I just-
stupid bullshit, and it's gonna be on tape.
I'm just thinking of like Spider-Man Far From Home, the drones, but it's Obama now, you know?
No, scene from
Mysterio Obama.
No, it's just the fucking scene from No Way Home where Tobey Maguire casually waltz in for the portal, but instead of Tobey Maguire, it's Barack goddamn Obama. He just said to the boat, let me be clear. Let me be clear. Let me be clear.
No, I want it to
Thwip,
very specifically be
thwip.
the you mean the you mean the Chaos Emeralds, but instead you mean the
Because
Spider
I
Totem.
have one right here. I'm sure, I think you're referring to the spider totems. Because I have one right here. And instead of going chaos control, he just goes, thwip. Thwip.
That was okay. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you. That wasn't as funny.
You know, I would have voted for Spider-Man Obama for a third term.
You bastard!
It's THW dash the hope from
Obama tries to run for president again. The only difference is he puts on a Spider-Man mask. I'm not Obama, I'm Spider-Man.
Why does he
Sorry,
have a voice? Why does
I'm not Obama.
he have a voice?
I am Spider-Man.
Here we go.
I just
Let me be
like
clear.
watching Tanner try and do impressions.
Pussy too.
All right. I really just like the meme of Obama where he says, "Let me be
I just
clear."
I fucking love that. No, so it's the scene from No Way Home. Obama walks in and he hits, "Let me be clear," and disappears.
He just turns into Iceman. He turns into
He
Iceman.
is the amazing friend.
Yes.
And he makes ice drones. You know, it's funny because spider drones is like a power Spider-Man uses in the game.
Oh. Oh, nice.
It's also incredibly overpowered.
All right. With that, I feel like
My computer's gonna
Time
hate rendering this.
to-
I can't wait.
pack things up. No, I can't wait. On the final note for this,
It's all right. Movie's all right.
what do I have here? I have a good.
It's 7 out of 10.
It's fine. Yeah.
5
7
out of 10.
It's
fourth
all right.
Best in the franchise.
You know, catch it at a matinee.
Yeah. Basically, what I want to say is the response to "Is he strong?" should not be "Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood." What a weird response to asking, "Hey, is that guy strong?" And then you say, "Listen, his blood extremely cancerous."
Mary Jane,
going to
I
die.
can't believe I killed you with my radioactive semen.
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."